Hey there, hope all is well. Wanted to take a quick minute to share a quick thought, kind of putting some of the pieces of the puzzle together. And just recently had a conversation with Rob Kirby from Kirby Analytics, and we're talking about digital currencies and some of the things he sees as things are developing. And then I had an article that I just came across in reference to how the ECB, and along with Christine Lagarde, and how favorable she is with Bitcoin and digital currencies, and how it seems to be a lot of attention in the digital currency arena that's under the surface more so, while over here in the Eastern Hemisphere, we're talking about the central banking or commercial banks rather, and how they're responding to the possible Fed um, decrease in interest rates coming up soon or not. But I'm beginning to think about how much of a distraction this whole central banking model is, because of central banks and commercial banks are all in the same game. A lot of people don't really know the history behind the central bank and how the whole Jekyll Island, the creature from Jekyll Island, how the old story came about, where ultimately at the end of the day, commercial banks are primary shareholders in central banks. So they're interconnected one way or another. One of them is the issuer of national currencies. The other one is the issuer of credit through fractional reserve lending. And so this article that I'm going to share with you guys here, I'll put it down beneath this video, but it has to do with a interesting timeline of some of I would consider some of the brightest minds, and how they've assessed the whole current monetary system and how it needs to be readdressed. And they're looking to implement digital currencies or centrally controlled digital currencies from the central banking sector. So the article is entitled European Central Banks Work on Digital Currencies. And this is from a Turkish news source out of Istanbul. And so it talks about how the Swedish Central Bank and the Bank of England are carrying out some variety of researches on whether or not they can issue, as it says here, a central bank digital cash. And so, amongst a part of the whole system, if you get down to the nuts and bolts of it, it's all about centrally controlling one single source of currency or money, some type of world government type of ordeal. But right now, because of the current model of the central bank and the commercial banks being on different pages, all under the same umbrella, they're looking to bring it all under one umbrella with this issuance of a central bank digital currency. So that's what everything boils down to. So when I was talking to Rob Kirby, he was laying out his thoughts and some of the things where he was saying how Christine Lagarde, how she's come into office now and being a proponent of Bitcoin, how that plays into what he says. And I'll actually play the clip shortly, but it talks about how he believes that the currency that will become the dominant digital currency outside of Bitcoin and all those things of that nature has not even been introduced yet.
I also have recently, in the last few days, noticed the seeming coming anointment of Christine Lagarde as the next ECB head, replacing Mario Draghi. And all I can say to you is that I'm quite aware that Christine Lagarde is very receptive to developments in the cryptoverse, and is not anti-cryptocurrency whatsoever if it's done the right way. And I do believe that there are entities that are doing crypto in the right way, and you're likely going to see some sea changes coming in the very near future in the cryptoverse, where cryptocurrencies that are not yet existing will very soon appear like a submarine in the middle of a fleet.
He believes that the currency that will become the dominant digital currency outside of Bitcoin and all those things of that nature has not even been introduced yet. And that what really inspired this video here, because here we have the European Central Bank talking about digital currency, and they are investigating and studying on how to basically launch it or implement it alongside of the so-called decentralized cryptocurrencies that are taking the limelight and kind of like primary front and center attention for a lot of people's attention in the currency realm. So according to this article here, I would encourage you to read it for yourself, but if you thumb through the very bottom, the contributors to this work are all professors, economists, you name it, all taught at very smart individuals, but they're given a basic timeline as to why the current monetary system is no longer working and they're in need of something else. something else, and it's all about creating a centrally controlled digital currency. So I'll read it, but more importantly, read it for yourself. But it says here, and some of the names I'll be butchering them if I try to read them, but it says, quote, "The system is producing money and offering it as credit because today's system is not working anymore," referring to commercial banks issuing credit through the fractional reserve model. It says today, money volume is equal to credit volume. We're only producing money by getting into debt. It says this is the main problem that creates financial crises. The money system is overvaluing the price of assets. The overvalued assets create direct crises, mortgage crises, and share crises, etc. This is referring to Turkish economy. It says Turkey is one of the potential countries that can change its money system, and it makes its own money more valuable, especially in today's situation in Turkey, as debt and money has lost its value. So this research here is primarily being studied right now in Turkey, but it's amongst 30 nations are included in this research here. But what they're basically saying is, while it appears that mainstream media is distracted by what Jerome Powell is going to do as far as dropping rates, on the back end, central banks are preparing now, if they have not already. I've also read in the past how the Federal Reserve has already, invested funds into figuring out how to roll out their own digital currency. Some people call it the Fed coin or whatever it's called. But ultimately, the goal is to keep us distracted with this whole banking situation. And from the video I did the other day about the banking panic about stocks, when you have commercial banks, primarily the two big to fail banks, which are the shareholders of the central banks or the Federal Reserve Bank, they're all in it together. And so the goal is to keep us distracted on one angle while they work on something on the back end. And I believe the central bank digital cash, as this article mentions, is the primary objective and the end game. It's the final stage to this entire monetary system. So between now and the time everything completely goes complete haywires, they're in need of something to roll out that will be implemented or be willing to be accepted by the public. And what better way to do it than to get people excited about the concept of digital currency, which is basically they're saying they're going to hyperinflate their currencies away and leave us with some digital illusions or digital options in the form of solely some type of rebranded digital currency, because everyone knows that most fiat currencies now are already digital. And so now they're going to give us something directly as probably the last nail in the monetary coffin as far as strategies and solutions that they're going to implement to us. And of course, if people are in dire straits, the current monetary system paradigm comes to an end, people will be more than willing and wanting to accept something that provides some type of stability. And unfortunately, it will be a digital cash, central bank issued currency outside of what they're currently doing now. So that means the currencies that we use, the actual physical paper notes and possibly even coins that are issued by the mint here in the United States of America, those things will no longer be in circulation. And that is the objective. That is the final goal of the centrally controlled monetary system, is to put everybody under one system. And it looks like from this research here, from the article below, as well as a lot of other commentators such as Rob Kirby, a lot of people think that the ultimate goal is to go digital, and that's where they're going to take us with this. So never mind the all the hype and things we're hearing on the mainstream media. Those are things, of course, will impact and affect us currently. But keep in mind on the long game. The long-term game is to get you under one window in the form of some digital asset. That's where all this is heading. But I thought I would share this just because it's interesting talking to Rob Kirby about his thoughts on digital currencies and how he thinks that the leading currency is not even out yet, and of which I do believe that is the case, and it's going to be probably centrally based. But then also you have ECB members talking about, they're studying it as well. So, you got people commenting on it, ECB, and of course the Fed is all included in that. They got something waiting on you after all this stuff unfolds. So, of course, we all know at the end of the day what retains its value the most, gold and silver. So definitely, if you guys have not, take advantage of RTD coin, still available. That good way to get your weight up. And other than that, let me know your thoughts down below. Looking forward to hearing more from you. Peace.